Before mankind, before earth, before time itself, there was heaven, a kingdom of infinite light, unimaginable power, perfect divine order, no suffering, no chaos, no darkness, only perfection. Among countless angels, one stood above them all, Lucifer, heaven's brightest star, radiant, majestic, unmatched in beauty and glory, a being of breathtaking perfection. Where he moved, heaven shimmered. Where he stood, glory intensified, a presence that magnified creation itself. Beside him stood the great archangels, Michael, Gabriel, guardians of divine will, warriors of eternal light, beings of loyalty, of purpose, of absolute devotion. Together they upheld heaven's harmony, unshaken, eternal, absolute. But even perfection carries danger. Greatness gave birth to pride. A thought emerged, silent, dangerous, unstoppable. A fracture within eternity, a whisper within perfection, a question no angel had ever dared to ask. Why serve when he could rule? Desire replaced devotion, ambition eclipsed loyalty, glory twisted into hunger. Perfection began to fracture. Light faded, shadows grew. Heaven's brightest presence became its greatest disturbance. Lucifer was no more, and heaven erupted into war. Not a war of mortals, not a clash of kingdoms, but a battle of cosmic magnitude. Light against light, power against power, celestial armies colliding across eternity. Forces beyond imagination unleashed devastation across creation. Michael rose, commander of celestial hosts, defender of divine order, a warrior forged for this moment, unyielding, unstoppable. Gabriel stood firm, heaven's messenger turned warrior, voice of heaven, now a force of judgment, calm, absolute, terrifying in authority. The heavens trembled, creation shook, eternity burned. Explosions of divine power tore through existence. Shockwaves rippled across the cosmos. Reality itself seemed to fracture under celestial fury. Immortals fell like dying stars. Wings of glory shattered. Divine light extinguished. Heaven itself consumed by chaos. A battlefield where eternity collided with destruction. Lucifer led the rebellion, a fallen prince commanding an army of defiance, darkness rising against eternal light, power challenging perfection, creation turning against its creator. The cosmos watched as heaven tore itself apart, because this was no ordinary conflict. This was the first fracture in existence, the first rebellion against divine order, the first moment darkness dared to rise. But rebellion cannot stand against the divine. The war was decided. Lucifer cast down, banished from heaven, stripped of glory, condemned to the abyss, a fall that echoed through eternity, a descent that scarred existence itself, a catastrophe felt across all creation, and the brightest angel became the greatest enemy. Because darkness did not disappear, it endured, it adapted, it evolved, it became patient, it became calculating, it became eternal. Darkness no longer sought heaven. Darkness turned its gaze elsewhere, toward a new creation, toward fragile beings of flesh, toward hearts capable of doubt, fear, desire, temptation, for mankind, for weakness, for temptation, for the fragile hearts of mortals, because humanity would become the next battlefield, a battlefield not of swords, but of souls,
not of explosions, but of choices, not of celestial armies, but of temptation and will. The war in heaven became the war for mankind, a war unseen, unrelenting, eternal. Because Lucifer's fall did not end rebellion, it transformed it. From cosmic destruction to psychological seduction, from celestial warfare to spiritual deception. And darkness waited for history to unfold, for humanity to rise, for weakness to emerge, for destiny to align. Because the greatest battles are not always fought with power, but with persuasion, with temptation, with whispers in the shadows. This was not the end. This was the birth of darkness and the beginning of humanity's greatest war.